This is not how this quest was supposed to go. It was supposed to be an easy in-and-out payday. Alice stood there with her mouth agape as she processed what just happened, replaying the events that led to this moment. The last words of their now-late guide hung in the air. "I am ascending," Scroop cried. "Weep for me not, companions, for this is my destiny." His words turned to joyful, throaty laughter, which was abruptly silenced with a sickening crunch. Destiny or not, their guide was no more. The huge, weird, terrifying creature standing before them calmly munched on the guide before turning its 3 glowing amber orbs towards them. A swallow, a gulp, a roar. The creature was finished with its first course, and it was time for round 2. With shaking hands, Alice reached towards her helmet and lowered the visor. "I am a hammer in the hand of Tyr," Alice whispered as she steadied herself for the creature's next charge. I'm sorry, what did you say?" The paladin lifted her helmet's visor, raising a cupped, mailed hand to the side of her head. While she appreciated the full-face protection of her standard order-issue sallet, wearing it did make her feel like she was always trying to hear the world from the inside of a bucket. "You're really going to have to speak up." Their guide croaked a reply. His strange, throaty voice didn't make understanding him any easier, but this time the paladin could make out, "I said, I think we're getting closer." Alice had had her reservations about this job. It seemed a little far-fetched when she and her companions saw the posting on the tavern message board. Eggs wanted. Handsome pay. Yes, the patron seemed nice, if a bit eccentric. And yes, the pay would be good. And yes, an included guide would make things easier. But a guide with webbed feet and skin always slimy to the touch? Alice always tried her best to embody the fairness of the teachings of old Grimjaws, but she did have her reservations. And what of these eggs? What was so special about them that they were worth such a high price? The party had taken the night to deliberate. "If this turns out to be a filthy illithid trick, I'm smashing those eggs myself," said Zalor, wrinkling his small, pointed nose in disgust at the thought. "Collecting materials native to this plane, however, is not beneath me." Naz tapped the small metallic box he'd been tinkering with between sips of ale. "If my calibrations are accurate, I should be able to pick off anything nasty that wanders off out of the muck before it gets too close." While Alice found them to be a bit unorthodox, the gnome's contraptions did always seem to come through in a pinch. "I'm in, but on one condition. If this turns out to be a wild axbeak chase, I get to write a ballad about friendship's folly and treasured time trickling away in a pointless pursuit." Para's mouth curled into a toothy grin, a low rumbling chortle rising from her chest. The Dragonborn could always be counted on to bring humor to a serious situation. "I will want to have a talk with our guide before proceeding, but, provided we're not dealing with anything evil or nefarious, I suppose I don't see a problem accepting this contract." Alice raised her tankard for a vote. The other 3 raised theirs in agreement, sealing their decision with a firm clink. The party trudged forward, each of their footsteps sloshing and sucking through the marshy ground. Their steps, usually so sure-footed from years of adventuring, were no match for the great swamp's insatiable hunger as it slurped up each party member's legs. Despite her initial hesitancy, Alice was finding their guide to be especially well-suited to this environment. Unlike them, he seemed completely unbothered by the constant damp that clung to their clothing. As they cursed and waded through knee and waist-deep water, he happily hopped and swam his way forward. The paladin felt somewhat reassured, even if she was growing increasingly impatient and miserable. Alice held up a clenched fist, signaling her companions to pause. "Mr. Skook! Yes, Mr. Skook. I would like an update on our current progress." She removed her helmet, trying to get a better view of the surrounding terrain. A few strands of auburn hair peeked out from under her coif as Alice dabbed beads of sweat from her brow. "We've been marching for 3 hours now. When do you expect we'll reach our quarry?" "Soon! Oh, yes! See how the land changes!" Their guide gestured with a webbed hand towards the ground they were standing on. "Semi-packed earth finely mixed with murky water. The perfect place for a nest. If a nest is close, then I think we've earned a breather. I know I, for one, could go for a quick rest, Naz said, walking towards a more solid-looking patch of ground. A nice snack, maybe even a cup of tea will have me feeling right as whoop! With a splash, his body disappeared beneath the surface of the muddy water. Naz! Shouted Para. The surface of the water rippled, but there was no sign of the gnome. Before anyone else could react, Zalor leapt towards the spot, perching with one leg on something just below the water's surface as he plunged his arm under. With a jerk, he pulled out a sputtering and drenched Naz. Speak, gnome. Do you still draw breath? I'm okay, Naz gasped between breaths. But I think I may have accidentally found what we're looking for. Alice and Para cautiously waded their way toward the pocket of swamp where Naz had gone under, muck and silt coming all the way up to their chests. Oh, gods, I'm going to stink after this, Para complained. As the surface calmed, the party began to make out a circle of dead reeds and aquatic plants. In the center, they could see the shapes of 5 spherical objects. Skaruk began jumping up and down, clapping his rubbery hands together. The Mucklord be praised! We found it! The adventurer's guide began to croak. His throat sac inflated with a low, ominous hum. What are you... Alice began. The soft ground under their feet began to quake. The gently rippling water began to churn. Before Alice could finish her sentence, a long, yellow-green tentacle shot up and wrapped itself around Skaruk. Oh, great frog Hebeth! Lord of the muck and mire, I am ascending! I am ascending! And you shall all ascend too! Alice, get your head out of Tyr's ass! This is no time to space out! Yelled Zalor. 2 translucent arms lashed out from his sides, batting away a tentacle as it made a grab for him. Alice snapped back to the present. Their guide was dead. They were alive. And there was that thing in between them and a pile of gold. Look, pal, I'm not sure what you are, but you don't want to eat me. I've been told I taste terrible. Naz threw his small metal cube on the ground. In the blink of an eye, it had sprouted legs, a curved neck, and shimmering bowstrings. It loosed 2 bolts of energy at the monstrous creature, hitting it squarely in the center of its 3 eyes. Its roar turned into a howl of pain. Naz grinned at Alice. Bullseye, he said. Alice's face began to break out into a wide, relieved smile, only to contort into a horrified look as she saw it. That thing's tongue, wet and barbed, flying straight towards her gnome companion. Watch out! As the words leapt from her lips, so, too, did she, as she hurled her shoulder into her friend. As Naz was knocked back, he thought he saw Alice wink as the tongue wrapped around her waist, then pulled her into the beast's hungry maw. Alice lifted her visor, attempting to rub the guts from her stinging eyes. She patted herself, quickly assessing the damage. Bones, seemingly intact. Weapon, usable. Armor, only a melted pauldron and a liquefied greave. As she breathed a sigh of relief, Para spoke the words on her mind. You're alive! 2 scaly arms wrapped around Alice's shoulders, pulling her into a hug. Thanks, by the way, she whispered. For saving Naz? Alice whispered back. Well, yes, but also for almost getting eaten. I've never had such brilliant inspiration for a song before. Alice playfully swatted Para's chest. Fine, fine, we'll close this chapter with a song. At least we can get these damnable eggs back to town without any more headaches. Alice? She felt Naz's slender fingers tapping her hip. I'm not so sure about that. It seems the locals have sent us a greeting party for killing their god, Zalor hissed through gritted teeth. The party backed into a defensive circle. All around them, countless forms began to emerge from the mire, their skin glistening as they raised stone-tipped spears towards them. A single croaky, yet clear voice called out, These infidels have defiled our lands and our ways.
Let us spill their blood to avenge the blood spilled of our great Muck Lord.
The voice began to croak, joined by a second, then third, then a chorus of throaty voices, all growing louder in unison. Alice steeled herself, trying to focus to the cacophony. I am a hammer of Tyr.
Thanks for joining us on Browsing the Bestiary. Be sure to subscribe for more episodes and check out our Patreon at Browsing the Bestiary, all one word.
There you can keep up to date on any new pod-related announcements, access reference pages for each episode, and download character sheets for characters featured in our story times. You can also comment on what you think the next monster will be, and if you get it right, you'll get inspiration.
And if you're something of a lore master yourself, you can offer us corrections for any facts we got wrong. If you catch something we missed, you may get a shout out in a future episode.
Remember to cite your sources.
I'm Dungeon Mistress Jade.
And I'm Lore Master Andy.
Until next time, may your dice rolls be high
and your adventurers ever prepared.